As Birmingham eventually made their home advantage count. Kevin Francis profiting from the mistake by Nigerian Efe Soje. That goal on 27 minutes had followed a series of decent chances for Stevenage, and they were made to pay for their wasteful finishing when Soje upended Devlin for a Birmingham penalty soon after the hour. Devlin took the kick himself for his 9th of the season, securing Birmingham's first advance into the 4th round since 1988, but plucky Stevenage unlucky to go out. Southampton's untidy defending has been their Achilles heel this season, and it was a lapse in concentration that presented Reading with the lead on 19 minutes at Elm Park. Klaus Lundekvam's dithering, punished by James Lambert. But Southampton were back level 4 minutes into the second half. Two of their foreign imports combining impressively for the equaliser, Norwegian Egil Ostenstad, set up by Israeli international Eyal Berkowitz. Graham Souness, Southampton's manager, was unhappy that the match had been allowed to start on a frozen pitch, and his mood won't have been improved by Reading's second goal soon after. An excellent finish by Darren Caskey after Lambert's cross had been knocked down by Trevor Morley. Now the Saints were struggling, and their lack of discipline was to let them down again. Francis Benali inexplicably elbowed Morley in the face. He was sent off, and Reading were awarded a penalty. Morley converted the kick himself to make it 3-1. A miserable afternoon for the Premier League side was completed then late on by a second dismissal. Robbie Slater shown the red card this time for remarks made to the linesman. Referee Graham Pole's handling of the game clearly incensed the Southampton players, and Souness too had to be restrained at the end. West Ham were none too happy that this game was given the go-ahead at the racecourse ground. Manager Harry Redknapp insisted the surface simply wasn't playable. The commentator is Gary Bloom.
Wrexham with the corner. Ryan Hughes has scored for Wrexham. We've moved into the final minute of the first half. Merritt barged. He's off his line. Wrexham could be in trouble here. Hugo Porfirio makes it 1-1.
Class told in the end true enough at Anfield, but credit Burnley with a battling display that enabled them to leave the club far from disgraced. Stan Collimore's 13th minute goal, the only one they conceded. "5,000 fans had followed Sunderland south to London, and by the end of a tight contest, they were to travel home in satisfied mood. Not that the signs were too encouraging for Sunderland early on. Winterburn. Killed over invitingly too by Merson, and it's there. And John Hudson in the centre, and it was Hudson with the header. Beachy to Bridges, where they think so highly of from Roker Park. There's a well-weighted ball there. Mullin. Played off to Gray. And so on the back level. It was such a neatly constructed goal. And finished off in style by Michael Gray. Chelsea's season is running into form, and West Brom were made to suffer in a rather one-sided contest. It took Ruud Gullit's team most of the first half, though, to secure a breakthrough. Just 5 minutes of the first 45 remaining when Dennis Wise marked his return to the team with the opening goal. Chelsea then pressed home their superiority with further goals in the second half. First on 74, substitute Craig Burley rounding off a fine interchange with Wise and Roberto Di Matteo. It was 3-0 just before the end. Gianluca Vialli, another substitute, hit the post, and his Italian compatriot Gianfranco Zola steered in the rebound. With only one win in their last 15 in the league, Middlesbrough's season has been in danger of collapsing. But maybe the FA Cup will prove a turning point for them. On the day, they simply destroyed Chester, the huge golf in class soon underlined by Boro's first goal from Fabrizio Ravanelli. That was just before the midway point in the first half, and it was 5 minutes later. Craig Hignett, the scorer this time. A third goal duly arrived just before half-time. Defender Neil Cox getting in on the act as the third division side wilted again. Ravanelli claimed his second and Boro's fourth 5 minutes into the second half. Another example of the Italians' awareness in the penalty box. He played his part too in goal number 5 on 56 minutes. Mikkel Beck, the Danish international, profiting from his excellent service. It was turning into a rout, but there was a sour note for Boro. Craig Hignett, who had already been cautioned, was sent off for disputing a Chester penalty award. All rather foolish, really, with your side leading by 5 goals to 0. Kevin Notman missed the kick anyway. Normal service was soon resumed at the other end as Boro attacked again. Phil Stamp made it 6-0 with just over 10 minutes to go. A comprehensive victory for Middlesbrough. Port Vale's recent league form suggested Blackburn might not face an easy passage at Ewood Park, and so it proved. Vale made it tough for the home side before Norwegian Lars Bohinen clinched it for Rovers with just over 20 minutes to go. Forest fans haven't had much to enthuse over this season, but at least there was no FA Cup embarrassment for them. Forest had a comfortable ride through mainly a couple of first-half goals. This the first on 17 from Dean Saunders. It was 2 on 28. Chris Allen, the man in the right place this time, as the game began to slip out of Ipswich's reach. Indeed, a third goal capped it for Forest with a quarter of an hour remaining. Saunders, second of the match, signalling a welcome return to form for a man whose goal touch seemed to have deserted him. At Hillsborough, Sheffield Wednesday romped into a first-half lead from which Grimsby never looked like recovering. This was Wednesday's first on 15 minutes from Richie Humphreys, after Jason Piercy had been left stranded by his inadequate clearance. Andy Booth was next on the score sheet against the First Division's bottom club. This goal, his reward for a sharp piece of finishing. A minute from half-time, Grimsby slipped further behind. An own goal from Ashley Fickling as he misheaded across from Reggie Blecker. No halting Wednesday now, and it was 4-0 soon after the restart. Another goal for Humphreys, this one laid on by Guy Whittingham. Graham Hyde was next to strike for a rampant Wednesday. Grimsby's defensive cover non-existent again as he steered in his team's 5th of the afternoon. Some consolation though for Grimsby at last arrived at the other end. Their promising young Welsh forward John Oster pulling a goal back in very impressive fashion. But most of the traffic was directed towards Grimsby's goal, and they were further adrift through another one from Andy Booth. Again, it was Whittingham who created it for him. 6 then became 7 late on. Grimsby once more in total disarray as David Pleat's team finished off a rousing display through Mark Pembridge. Wolves' prominence among the First Division's leading sides is due almost entirely to their away record. At Molineux, they simply can't get it right. Saturday's story was similar to so many there this season. Portsmouth deservedly ahead through Alan McLaughlin on 68 minutes. This time, though, Wolves' reply was instant. Darren Ferguson, son of Manchester United manager Alex, gunning in the equaliser. But it was only a brief reprieve. Wolves failed to take up the initiative, and they were bundled out of the cup by a goal 10 minutes from time from Paul Hall. Another frustrating afternoon for Wolves in front of their own supporters. Whatever game plan Swindon may have had for their trip to Goodison Park, it had to be hastily discarded. Only 52 seconds played when Ian Culverhouse conceded a penalty for handball on the line. He suffered the dubious honour of earning the fastest dismissal in FA Cup history. Andrei Kanchelskis made no mistake with his penalty kick, sending Fraser Digby in the wrong direction. An uphill task now then for Swindon, and they went further behind on 18 minutes. A dreadful back pass from Mark Walters, punished by the alert Nick Barmby. Swindon had their moments. Walters struck the crossbar, but Everton ended their hopes with a third goal early in the second half. Earl Barrett's cross, headed in firmly by Duncan Ferguson. Not a happy return then to Goodison Park for Everton old boy Steve McMahon, and the Swindon manager's afternoon was further darkened by another sending off. The former Wimbledon defender Gary Elkins, the man to go this time, for collecting his second yellow card after a lunge at Duncan Ferguson. Swindon reduced to 9 men, Everton safely through, comprehensive winners by 3-0. The match of the round then was in front of a packed house at Old Trafford, with Manchester United's defence of the trophy challenged at the first hurdle by another team with outstanding FA Cup pedigree. Commentary on the highlights with Ian Dark again.
I think the point has to be made at this stage that Manchester United don't look so effective at the moment with Cole as they usually do with Solskjaer. But that could change in an instant if Cole gets a chance. Scholes, he's done it. Paul Scholes, fed by Andy Cole, and Manchester United have the lead. As it is, Manchester United have a free kick. Beckham. Oh, brilliant! He's brilliant! David Beckham. 8 minutes to go. 2-0 Manchester United. Game, set, match.
Our roundup starts on Monday night when Hansford Town of the Vauxhall Conference turn the tables on York City, who themselves have enjoyed recent cup success over Manchester United and Everton. The only goal of the game came via the penalty spot. Gary Hemsworth was sent off for deliberate handball as he stopped Paul Carty's goal-bound shot. Keith Russell, who by trade is a decorator, scored with 2 minutes to go to half-time. Hansford can now look forward to a £70,000 payout. They face Middlesbrough next, who've agreed to switch the home tie to Middlesbrough's Riverside Stadium. The winners of this tie play Manchester United in round 4. Crewe of Division 2 shocked their Premier League visitors with a goal on 12 minutes. Central defender Ashley Westwood, once on Manchester United's books, scored the goal. Wimbledon drew level when Crewe failed to clear a corner. A Kenny Cunningham cross was turned in by Chris Perry. The team's replay on Tuesday, January the 21st. There was another giant killing act in the northwest as Carlisle United from Division 3 put out Tranmere Rovers. Just one goal was enough to win the game, and it came on the hour mark when Owen Archdeacon scored for the home side. This turned out to be the highlight of Tuesday night's matches. The 21,000 crowd had to be in their seats early to see a flurry of early goals. Just 3 minutes in, Brian Dean gave Leeds the lead, latching on to Radimi's free kick. In a contentious match, this proved to be a contentious goal. George Nadal's cross was met by Leeds defender Paul Beasley and Palace's Bruce Dyer. Referee Roger Dilks awarded a penalty, claiming that Beasley had handled the ball. Dyer took the penalty himself, easily beating former Crystal Palace goalkeeper Nigel Martyn now with Leeds. Leeds swept back into the lead moments later. Brian Deane, who'd scored Leeds' opening goal, had a major hand in their second. It was his cross that was dispatched into his own net by Leif Anderson, who was only playing because David Tuttle was injured. Crystal Palace's second equaliser, 20 minutes from full time, had "Made in Australia" written all over it. Kevin Muscat supplied the cross, Carl Vialt the header, and the teams were tied at 2-2. But the match boiled over in the closing minutes. Roger Dilks, the referee, awarded Crystal Palace their second penalty after a foul by Lucas Radebe on Bruce Dyer. The referee angered both sides by taking an age to finally confirm his decision. Dyer, who'd already scored one penalty, faced up to former teammate Nigel Martyn again. But Martyn, who cost Leeds £2.25 million, provided the save to keep Leeds in the cup. They say fortune favours the brave, and that's certainly true for Leicester City. After half an hour, they kept tie with Southend. They pushed defender Ian Marshall into attack, and the ploy paid off. 5 minutes before half-time, Marshall used his aerial strength to set up Steve Claridge. Southend had gone out to Premier League opposition in the third round stage for the past 2 seasons. And it was a familiar story for them when Marshall scored Leicester's second after collecting Gary Parker's pass. To the third round replays now, and there was a sellout crowd at St James's Park to see Kenny Dalglish take over the reins of Newcastle after the shock resignation last week of Kevin Keegan. Charlton frustrated Newcastle, and it was to great relief that the home side eventually took the lead. Peter Beardsley's header found Clark, who lifted the ball past Charlton goalkeeper Patterson. Just short of the hour mark, Charlton equalised. Well worth their goal too. Clark's foul on O'Connell resulted in a free kick, and Mark Robson scored the goal, which took this replay to extra time. 10 minutes into extra time, the decisive moment arrived. Ginola won himself a free kick, and Alan Shearer, who Dalglish bought while in charge at Blackburn, struck home his 19th goal of the season. Newcastle will now face Nottingham Forest at home in the next round. Queen's Park Rangers in red had been waiting 60 years to register an FA Cup win against Huddersfield, so when it arrived it was all the sweeter. But things didn't begin brightly for the Londoners. Rob Edwards put Huddersfield 1 up in 7 minutes. Just short of the hour mark, Queen's Park Rangers were level. Gavin Peacock began and ended a move which involved former Chelsea colleague John Spencer. 1-1. Extra time was just moments away when Queen's Park Rangers sealed a famous win in Yorkshire. Captain Alan McDonald met Matthew Brazier's corner kick, and Rangers had beaten Huddersfield for the first time in 6 attempts in the Cup. Queen's Park Rangers play another Yorkshire team in round 4. They're at home to Barnsley.
After 2 postponements, Woking, the 1,000-to-1 outsiders, and their army of supporters travelled to Highfield Road, hoping their team could write another page in Cup history against Premier League Coventry. Match commentator Peter Brackley.
Richardson. Salako, as ever, faced by Y, but he still pulled it back. McAllister let it run, a chance and a goal from Ian Jess. And Coventry at long last have the lead. Blocked by Jones to Terry Howard. Jones supporting. Might fall here. It's a chance for the goal. They have equalised. Thompson.
Only a few places on the league ladder currently separate the Division 2 leaders Brentford and struggling Manchester City, but City refused to fill their ordained role as victims at Griffin Park a gritty display embellished with the only goal. Nicky Summerby's first strike in 14 months, rounding off a sweeping move on 62 minutes to give City's troubled season a big lift. West Ham United's season goes from bad to worse, unable to make home advantage play against second division Wrexham. The goal on 89 minutes allowed no time for a comeback. Brian Hughes' cross laid on by Steve Watkin for Kevin Russell, the substitute, to score. Another famous Wrexham Cup upset, greeted with derision by the Hammers faithful, a body blow to their manager Harry Redknapp. Exactly 21 years ago, Crystal Palace caused a famous upset at Elland Road. No repeat here, the only goal arriving on 42 minutes. Rod Wallace's superb strike putting Leeds in front, and after making such a hard fight of it in the first meeting, Palace never able to threaten here as Leeds' improvement continues. Next stop, George Graham's meeting with his former club, Arsenal. Wimbledon hoped they'd done enough by avoiding defeat in their first meeting at Gresty Road, and so it proved at the second meeting with Crewe. Robbie Earle volleying the Dons in front back at Selhurst Park. And the place in the next round assured once Earle had put Leonardson away down the left-hand side. His cross converted by Dean Holdsworth. Holdsworth hoping to prove worthy of a regular starting place in Joe Kinnear's mind once more. Aston Villa were another Premier League club who hoped to have done the hard work, this time away to Notts County. In the return at Villa Park, so it proved. Dwight York too sharp, with a little help from a deflection, putting Villa in front on 24 minutes. Hard though Notts County worked, it was difficult for them to contain the brilliance of York. Sasa Churchic set him up for the second, and with that cushion, Villa began to set their stall out for a big Premier League meeting in the next round against Derby County. There was one final flourish on 67 minutes. Ugo Ehiogu picking up the pieces after a free kick was partially cleared. Notts County no match at the second time of asking. The Division 1 leaders Bolton had the perfect start in this game against Luton when Per Franson's through ball was converted by John McGinley, his 21st of the season. It began to look like business as usual in Bolton's brilliant season, but Luton, who are going well themselves in Division 2, came back as Bolton relaxed. Tony Thorpe's header levelling it on 32 minutes. And just 2 minutes later, a defensive mix-up between Jerry Taggart and Gavin Ward in goal allowed Dwight Marshall the opportunity to fire Luton in front. Either side of half-time, Bolton in trouble then, but Franson put McGinley through again on 52 minutes, and he set up a tap-in for Nathan Blake to level. From then on, Bolton took control. Alan Thompson on as a substitute after missing 7 weeks with injury, hitting a superb free kick past Ian Foyer on 64 minutes. And the Welsh international Blake getting his second 2 minutes later. Marvin Johnson dwelling in possession, caught out, and Bolton now looking home and dry. This time Bolton didn't relax when in front. Michael Johansson and Thompson combining to get Jamie Pollock onto the score sheet for the second game in a row. And Thompson and Johansson created another goal on the final whistle. This time Scott Green's first ever FA Cup goal. Bolton cruising toward a home tie with Chesterfield in the next round.